We are on. What's happening, beautiful people? Welcome back to another live stream right here on Cassius Morris Official, hitting you guys up with a desktop stream this evening. We got back from the IRL last night. Completely different territory for me. I don't know why I do it to myself, guys. I'm not sure why I insist on consistently pushing the envelope and pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. But every once in a while, especially when I'm really doing good on my content and getting a lot of numbers, I get this urge to push myself out of that zone, to push myself a bit further, to try and push the envelope and really expand my content, because honestly, it's important for me in certain moments, at least every 6 to 9 months, I would say, to make myself feel like a rookie again and do something I've never done before in terms of my content and completely push myself to the point where I am uncomfortable. So that's what we went for last night. It was a completely different stream, and I was dreading doing that first stream of the street interviews in person because I knew it was going to be rough. I knew it was going to take some tweaks. I knew it was going to take some time to really massage this format, but we ripped the Band-Aid off last night, got a couple half-decent clips, and we will be back with that format coming up pretty soon. But sometimes I just question, why do I do it to myself? I could have it made. I could sit here and interview rock stars for the rest of my life. I could react to clips at my desk for the rest of my life, play it safe, and we could all live happily ever after. Never enough for me. Never enough for me to stay inside of the comfort zone, because they do say the comfort zone is what? You guys know the line, where dreams go to die. So we don't even have to harp on that point. So hopping into these stories tonight, this is going to be a super fun stream as we're covering the Afroman victory in the trial that he had against the police department over in his home city. Now, this was a super interesting story. So for anybody who missed the initial context of this situation, let me just fill you guys in on what actually happened with Afroman. So back in August of 2022, Afroman had his home raided for what ended up being completely false allegations. They were accusing him of having kidnapping victims, all different types of illicit drugs, and really just some strange accusations against Af that came out to be, again, completely unfounded. This is what led to police raiding his home. Now, there was substantial damage made to Afroman's home, including his door being completely destroyed and money going missing. And Afroman later used the real footage of this raid to make a music video, actually multiple music videos, saying his piece about this, raising awareness, and also trying to raise money for the broken door and for the property damage that was incurred by the police officers. Now, evidently, the police officers did not like this, and they chose to sue Afroman back over the footage, citing emotional damage and safety concerns after Afroman put their likeness across the internet. And they were also complaining that their likeness was not able to be used without their permission. But it turns out that's not true, because Afroman just won this lawsuit in a sweeping victory. So now that you guys have the context, let's go ahead and play a couple of clips. We're going to open with the clip of the jury ruling in favor of Afroman in this case. I feel like we got to go straight for the meat of this story. And what better clip to open with than Afroman walking into the courtroom in a white ice pimp coat. This is like, I feel like if SNL was going to try to write about this trial, they couldn't even top this. Like, this is South Park, SNL levels of hilarity. Let's go ahead and play this first clip of Afroman walking into court to have the judge rule in his favor. Let's take a look. Oh, this dude is cold. This motherfucker knows he's cold. You understand me? Listen, you don't walk into court looking like that unless you're going to win. If there was a single shred of a chance, a single shadow of a doubt that Afroman was going to lose this case, I think he would have been suited up in like a traditional suit. Zero chance of somebody walking into court with this level of confidence if they're going to lose. That boy cold.
In all circumstances, the jury finds in favor of the defendant, no plaintiff verdict prevailed. So the matter will be concluded with defense verdicts.
By the way, shout out the judge, because like this is such a stupid lawsuit. And I'm surprised it really went as far as it did. But when you're listening to the different clips, which we're going to play here in a moment, you realize this lawsuit was such a nothing burger. And by the way, it stuns me that cops were the people who actually launched this lawsuit, because do cops not know the law in America? You know, I watch all these different videos of people explaining their First Amendment rights and explaining stuff about, you know, the First Amendment auditors, which I'm not necessarily a fan of. But I watch these videos of people in America, and it seems to be a big topic of discussion as to, like, you can't film me without my permission. You can't use my likeness. Do cops not realize you can film damn near whatever you want in America?
Thank you, Mr. Klingler. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Thank you to the court staff and the Sheriff's Department for security in the building. And we'll go ahead and stand in adjournment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
WF. Is he going to talk or no? I don't know if he speaks.
Yep.
Everybody is excused.
Okay, so not a word from Afroman here, but there are plenty of clips of him actually speaking. Make sure to smash that like, by the way, guys. Let's get this algorithm going. Let's get this stream popping off a little bit as we take a look at clips of Afroman speaking on his latest win. So we have a couple other clips to play. This was Afroman's first reaction outside of the court upon finding out that he won.
Yeah, we did it, America. Yeah, we did it. Freedom of speech. Right on, right on. Yeah, God bless America. Yeah, power to the people. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Again, South Park getting a run for their money when it comes to this episode. Now let's listen to Af when he took the stand. This is probably some of the best material we have to draw from in this trial. Af speaking about the fact that he trolled officers who wrongfully raided his house so hard that it actually led to them crying in court. And this is the whole situation we have to look at here.
No, I posted it because the sheriff's never supposed to raid my house in the first place. The whole raid was a mistake. All of this is their fault. If they hadn't wrongly raided my house, there would be no lawsuit. I would not know their names. They wouldn't be on my body. They wouldn't be on my home surveillance system. And there would be no songs, nothing. My money would still be intact, nothing. So all of this is their fault.
So here they're playing the song that he made about this officer. We are going to play a couple, but he did make individual diss tracks about specific officers involved as well. And this woman got trolled so hard she started to cry in court.
Nothing. So all of this is their fault. She raided my house. She disconnected my camera. Then she went down on my spouse. I just don't know what I'm gonna do.
Soft, weak.
Y'all keep on laughing. She gonna eat your wife's pussy.
Oh, that's kind of a tune, too. What? Hold on, this might make my Spotify playlist. Who can give me the title of this track right here? What's the name? It's a tune, bro. It's a tune. I think he's making fun of... I don't even want to say. By the way, I would pay $1 million for the camera guy to cut to Afroman's expression while they're playing this in court. Now, that's the shot I want to see. Her crying is one shot. The jump cut to Afroman with a huge smile on his face would be the icing on the cake for me in this scenario. Cameraman would get a raise if he cut to Af right now. Okay, so we're not just going to sit and watch her cry for 10 minutes. But the officer got trolled so hard that she just sat there and cried, I guess, for 15 minutes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Ridiculous. Let's look at some more video. I just want to get some more pieces of Af speaking in court, of the cops speaking in court. This one here is Afroman. Excuse me. The deputy claims Afroman singing about sleeping with his wife has caused him, quote, tremendous pain as grounds for defamation. How is that defamation, though, if it's a hypothetical? It says he also stated that being called a thief by Afroman has hurt his reputation, even though money went missing when Afroman had his house raided by the cops. And it says here, so far all deputies have claimed that they do not believe everything they hear or see on the internet, and that they have been called, I don't even know, whoever's writing this is writing it really poorly. I can't even follow this tweet.
So you're claiming that is the defamation statement, is that he said he had sex with your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And that's painted you in a false light.
Bro, no wonder this case got thrown out, though. How are you going to say, like, I can tell somebody I slept with your wife and that's defamation? How is it defaming somebody if it's not true? And also, how is it even defamation, period, even if it was true? That's my question. Again, I'm no legal expert. I'm not a lawyer. But from what I understand, defamation would be making a claim that if it was true would defame the person. That maybe is not true. Probably a loose, definition of defamation, but that's how I've always understood it. If Afroman did sleep with his wife, even in reality, I don't see how that would defame him. Maybe embarrass him, maybe shame him. I don't see how that's considered defamation, though.
So you're claiming that is the defamation statement, is that he said he had sex with your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And that's painted you in a false light?
It's caused tremendous pain in my life.
I'll get to that. We have to go through false light first. So does it paint you in a false light?
Yes, that my wife is cheating on me with Mr. Foreman.
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Bro, there's a doubt? How is there a doubt and she's still your wife? Bro, if my wife is cheating on me with Afroman, if there's even a question, she's not my wife anymore. What do you mean you don't know?
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
Bro, Af cannot be this smooth with it. Bro, if Af is having an affair with the wife of the cop who raided his house, I gotta stand up and give him a standing ovation. Don't make me do it, Afroman. Listen, if Af pulled that, this is like Hugh Hefner, Bill Clinton level pulling abilities, if this is true.
Wait, you don't know if your wife's cheating on you or not?
You want to go there?
No, I just want to ask that question because you said you don't know. I just
Been
need
with
the
that
answer.
woman since middle school.
I know.
I would hope she wouldn't. But you know what? Once somebody puts it out there for their fun and entertainment, it's out there. And it's a problem.
So it's something we cannot verify the truth of? Is it a thing that can be verified, true or false?
Ask your client.
I have a feeling the chair in the corner of the hotel room was made for this guy. You guys know that little chair in the corner of the hotel? Those chairs were made for this man. He's the exact reason those chairs actually started being produced in the first place. Let's play a little bit more here from Afroman in court. This is so ridiculous, guys. But it's hilarious, too. And by the way, I don't know if these cops thought that they were going to win this case or what made them think this was a good idea. But I feel like the cops should have just taken the L in this scenario. And you guys let me know what you think down below in the chat. The cops made a bad move. They raided a man's house who was innocent. They put a man through an ordeal that he did not deserve to go through. That is not a disputable fact. They went in there looking for kidnap victims. They went in there looking for narcotics and illegal, basically trafficking activity in Afroman's house. And all they found was a little bit of weed and a couple of $1,000s, which they stole a little bit of that money too. So the cops were completely in the wrong in this scenario. All that would have had to have been done, and Afroman, by the way, gave them the chance to do this in the form of releasing the song, like to try to get them to apologize, was just to say, look, we messed up, and maybe offer some compensation for the door that was broken. That's all you would have had to have done if you didn't want this to blow up. So my question is, if Afroman was already taking the actions like he did to troll them, to put their names out there, to do all this stuff, what made them think that suing him was going to put them in a better position? Because the only reason they're in the position that they're in is because of their wrongdoings, their misinformation, their inability to properly do their jobs. So this is like a glutton for punishment type of situation. You have a group of cops who clearly have massive egos. Like, the ego on these cops has to be huge because you're going up against a celebrity. You're going up against, first of all, an innocent man who's now vindicated from being innocent and has a massive platform. How do you expect to win this exactly when you're completely in the wrong? You know, it's one thing if they went into Afroman's house and they found what they were looking for. You know, it would be one thing if they went into his home and found people locked up, signs of trafficking, signs of narcotic sales. Whatever they were after, it would make sense if they found Afroman to be in the wrong, that they would be a bit bothered by this. But we have to remember, they don't even have a leg to stand on, because not only are they completely basically deserving of what they've got, you know, they deserve every second of it. They deserve to be trolled. They deserve to be made fun of because they don't know how to do their jobs. Also, this man is completely innocent and he has a huge platform. So I don't see how they expected this to go in any other way. Chad says the fact that the judge let him wear those glasses is gold. Dude, the whole outfit is gold. The whole outfit is gold. Okay, let's look at this. So, Afroman's music video, Lemon Pound Cake, which is a diss to this officer from the Adams County Sheriff Department, was played in court as the officer himself, who's referred to as Officer Pound Cake, had to sit and watch. Let's take a look at this.
Mr. Cooley, sorry, Sean, you were called Officer Pound Cake by Mr. Foreman?
I'm sorry. This is so ridiculous. Can you imagine, just picture for a second that you went to law school, okay? Picture yourself taking the bar exam. Picture yourself studying for the bar exam, going through it. It takes a lot of hard work to pass. You're very proud of getting the bar, passing the bar. And then picture yourself being in court reading this. Officer, I understand you were referred to by Afroman as Officer Pound Cake. Is that true? This is why you took the bar. It's inevitably comical.
Mr. Cooley, sorry, Sean, you were called Officer Pound Cake by Mr. Foreman?
Multiple times.
You
You
were
received hundreds of pound cakes at work from different people.
Okay. And the context of that name comes from a music video that Mr. Foreman created, correct?
I don't know where he got it at, but you'd have to ask him that question.
Well, I'm going to play what's marked Defense Exhibit V.
Hey, shout out the chat.
I'd like you to
It is a crazy timeline, bro, where Afroman wins. It's true.
Yep.
But they were stupid to sue for this. I mean, there was no way they were going to win. Kelly says nobody gets to invade your home, especially the cops whose salaries you pay with no legitimate reason. Facts, Kelly. Completely agree. What is the significance of playing this, by the way? This is just funny. This is like a humiliation ritual.
The Adams County Sheriff kicked down my door, and I heard the glass break. They found no kidnapping victims.
The real footage. Hey, lemon pound cake. Can we appreciate that the songs are actually good too? Like, let's just take a second to appreciate that the music holds up.
He's hungry and he's big as hell. He was sniffing for weed, then he smelled another smell. What was that? Mama's living down.
This is funny. So what did the officer say? Let me see. We're going to play the next diss track, too. He just dropped a brand new one after winning, guys. This is funny.
Stop it there. So you've seen Exhibit P, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You would admit that's you with the glasses walking by the lemon pound cake on the counter?
Yes.
And that is security footage from the search of Mr. Foreman's residence?
I assume, yes.
But there's no question that's you during the search.
Yes.
There is question or there's
No, that was me, yes. Absolutely.
Man, they got cooked worse than that lemon pound cake. They got cooked worse than Afroman on a Friday afternoon when he's smoking 19 bazookas. You understand me? These cops got cooked alive. This is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. So Afroman completely winning the lawsuit against, I believe it's the Adams County Sheriff. I don't know why they're not putting the city in these reports, but they're not really reporting which city it was. The Adams County Sheriff Department. So let me know what you guys think so far down below in the chat. Yeah, I feel like this is actually a good thing beyond just the Afroman situation, because here's what this will do. I think it's really good to have a little bit of accountability on the part of the cops. And especially when they're so brazenly targeting individuals who are innocent, I think it's really good that they get a little taste of their own medicine, because this is something that happens quite frequently. And also the cops, whenever they're caught in the wrong, it seems like instead of admitting that they're wrong, they want to double down. So this to me is good because, look, if you're going to be wrong and do the double down as a cop, you have to remember that in America, there is freedom of speech, there's freedom of information, and you're going to be able to say your piece and tell the world about it. And you can think that you're going to get away with it in your county. You can think you're going to get away with it under your leadership. And maybe you might for the time being. But the beauty of the world we're in today is the freedom of information and the fact that we could spread this information everywhere and get the word out. So I think it's less easy for dirty cops to do what they do. It's less easy to get away with shit nowadays. And honestly, that's a net positive for everybody. Because if we can get some cops to act right through this scenario, maybe the next cop will act right. You know, I feel like it's good to hold people accountable. I don't care if it's police officers, people in government. I feel like anybody in a position of authority should never feel like they're holier than thou. They should never feel like they're untouchable, and that if they do something, it can be swept under the rug. You know, that's why body cams are so valuable. I think Everything police do should be videotaped, documented. And if there's any doubt about that or any concern about that, it's probably because there's some wrongdoing. And look at this scenario. These cops really, they sued because they said it was defamation and it was using their likeness. That's all a crock of shit. These officers sued because they were embarrassed. These officers sued because they looked bad. I can guarantee that if they had a successful raid of Afroman and they found a bunch of stuff and somebody made a TV show about that or a video about that, they would not be complaining about their likeness being used. They would have no problem with their likeness being used if it made them look good. The only reason is because they look bad. Let's play the next clip here. Shout out to Presidential in the chat. This is the latest diss track that he just dropped. And this is a personal one against Officer Randy Walters. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, Randy Walters is a son of a bitch. The single. Yeah.
Randy Walters is the son of a bitch.
What?
Yeah, that's why I fucked his wife and got filthy rich.
Oh, this is the cop we looked at. Hey, shout out to Randy Walters from Bangkok, Thailand. Shout out Officer Walters all the way from Asia, bro. Listen, we wouldn't have known about you if you weren't a dirty cop. We wouldn't have known your name, Officer Walters, if you would have done your job. I wouldn't even be dancing to this amazing song if you knew how to act right and investigate.
Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting.
But now we jamming in Thailand.
Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my
Video. Get me on the ad lib. Af, hit me for the remix.
Pressing charges, let me know. If there's no kidnap victims, let me go. Cutting off my video. Listening to that unconfidential hoe. Crooked Popo. Randy Walters is the son of a
Oh, this one goes hard. No.
That's why I fucked his wife and got filthy rich.
What? No, this one goes crazy. This is the one, dude. And can you imagine it in their hometown? Like, this is, yeah, a worldwide story. But in Denver, this has got to be a bitch for these officers now. Because if this is an international story, just imagine the buzz in a small kind of city. Or a city where people see each other a lot. And this is why I would say, look, if you have the opportunity to admit that you're wrong in a public-facing scenario, I would highly advise that you do it as soon as possible. Because if you're being speculated of being wrong and you're trying to cover it up after this shit goes viral in 2026, you're not getting away with it, bro. I'll tell you, it is impossible to get away with anything nowadays. And really, that's why I live by one simple philosophy, and I wish the cops would do the same. My philosophy in 2026 is this. If you don't want to get caught doing something, simply don't do it. Because that's the only way you're going to avoid getting caught for doing said thing. I guarantee you, if you were doing something you shouldn't be doing, in the big old 2026, you will get caught, my friends. You will get caught. You will get exposed. People will be on to you. I can absolutely guarantee that. So, yeah, that's really what I would have said for these cops. Presidential in the chat says, the problem with cops starts at the academies. That's where, so small I can barely read. That's where they should learn about the law, but learn more about arrest procedures and data entry instead. The second appeals court decision really hurts us all. You know, presidential, it's funny because I grew up with a lot of police officers in my family. So I grew up in a law enforcement family. And it's funny because I grew up with actual good cops. I've never had experience with bad cops. And the one thing that I've learned is nobody agrees with the criticism of police officers and their training more than a good cop. Because there's so few good cops, I truly do believe that. I think they're the overwhelming minority of police are good cops. But nobody gets more upset about the lack of training and the lack of morality and the lack of decorum of bad officers than good officers. So it's not just people on the outside who feel this way. It's good officers as well. Yeah, I had a really different upbringing. I grew up like going to the police station as a kid, knowing the cops. Like, it was a totally different perspective. So I didn't even actually know that people hated cops until I got older. Like, I wouldn't have been able to understand it because in my world, cops were my family. Cops were good people who were nice to me. I'd never had to deal with cops when they weren't being nice. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where we're at. But you were incredibly accurate. Somebody says that's not true. What's not true? That people will get away with it? Or they won't get away with stuff? I think people think they get away with stuff nowadays, but they don't. It usually catches up with them. Snitch, I'm a snitch. I was 6 years old. Who snitch on what? Snitching on my classmate for taking an extra piece of candy out of the Halloween bucket? Like, what was I snitching at 6 years old? What the fuck? That's funny as fuck. Okay, let's watch. I think there was one or two more videos of Afroman that we should watch. So let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Make sure to smash that like and sub, by the way, guys. Let's look at... There was a little bit more of his testimony that was good to look at. 6-year-old snitch. They called me 6'9", but I was actually 6 to 9 years old.
Well, you saw, as soon as the search was over, as soon as you got home, you saw a document that showed exactly how much cash had been taken from the house, correct?
I know I got paid $5,000 for the show that suit was in. I forgot that money was in that suit. But, I heard, I don't know what piece of paper I heard. I knew they took some money. I just knew they took some money. I knew it was 4,000-ish. I knew they took some money and they seized some money and some.
Bro, why are the cops stealing money, though? Like, this is actually insane. And again, this is what boggles my mind as to why they proceeded to try to take legal action against him, because what they were doing was so clearly out of line. Even if they were within their rights to raid the home, like let's say they had really solid evidence against Afroman and they were within their rights to go ahead and proceed with the raid. They had a warrant. There's still no excuse to be stealing money, though, and to be tampering with stuff. Like, what are we doing with that?
Some weed and some, I don't know, what else, just minor stuff.
You knew how much money was in that pocket when you came home and saw the warrant returned, didn't you?
It was $5,000 from back when I did that show. I remember it was $5,000, but anyway.
So is it your testimony that they actually took $5,000 instead of
No, I just know.
4,390?
I know when I did that show, it was with Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa at Red Rocks in Denver. The balance of that show for me, they sent in a deposit, but the balance was $5,000. I put the $5,000 in my coat pocket. I got drunk, I got high, and I forgot to get that money, and I hung that suit back up, and that's where they got that money from.
So it was $5,000 they got?
Yes, it was $5,000 that was in my suit when I got paid in Red Rocks. Now, after all of this stuff, you know, whatever, it's I don't really know the complete number. It's 46, it's 430. The number bounces up and down. But all I know is I got paid $5,000 at the Red Rocks with Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa when I played the Red Rocks.
Damn, Snoop and Wiz are fucking waxing this guy. $5,000. Snoop and Wiz, you guys could give Af at least a 10-piece. Come on now. Come on now, Snoop. $5,000.
And you got
I feel like Af deserves at least a tenner.
$4,000 returned, right?
I don't know the exact amount.
Well, you were there with the news when you got it. You
Right, and the lady at the sheriff's station admitted that the sheriff was short. You can go watch the 19 News.
You knew when you saw the warrant returned, didn't you, that the amount that they were saying was taken was actually more money than was in that suit pocket.
I didn't warrant.
That's why you brought the news to the sheriff's office when you got the money back, because you knew that they had miscounted the money and the number on the evidence bag was actually more
I didn't know
money.
nothing. The lady at the sheriff department just volunteered the information. I was sitting there, you know, if she had been, I might not even known I got ripped off. She admitted it live on Channel 19 News that the money wasn't right.
You remember?
Bro, these cops aren't even good at it. Like, if you're going to be a dirty cop, at least be good. You know, I've heard stories of dirty cops who actually succeed, but you have to be intelligent with the way that you do it. You got to have, like, a criminal instinct. This tells me these are cops who don't have a criminal instinct. They're just jackasses. These are cops probably who weren't even dirty cops in practice. They probably just wanted to be dirty cops or always wished they had the opportunity to, like, steal some cash or go to a rich guy's house and, like, have their way with it. They probably wished that they could do this. I don't think they had experience doing this because they didn't do it well. If these guys were more well-practiced dirty cops, they probably would have had a better result with this.
In your deposition, when I asked you why did you bring the news when you picked up the money?
Yeah, I didn't want to get beat up or Epstein at the sheriff's station after I seen him running around my house with AR-15s.
He said he doesn't want to get Epsteined? Bro, what's that? What is that supposed to mean?
On 19 News that the money wasn't right.
You remember in your deposition when I asked you why did you bring the news when you picked up the money?
Yeah, I didn't want to get beat up or Epstein at the sheriff's station after I seen him running around my house with AR-15s.
Bro, you know shit is crazy when Afroman is scared of getting Epstein. That's when you know shit is popping off. Afroman is even scared of getting suicided in 2026. Nobody's safe, dude. Can't even make a song about smoking a couple of zigzags, drinking a Colt 45, getting high. Can't even make some fun party music. Good vibes. Like, who is more unproblematic than Afroman? Can we find, like, is there anybody, an artist who's less problematic than this dude? I've never met a guy who is less problematic. And we're going to play some clips from my interview with Afroman in a moment when we got high. When I got to talk to him, that was, I forgot to mention that off the top, but that's going to be part of this stream too. I'll tell you guys some of the lore about when I met Af and what went into that, but nice man, unproblematic man, not a dude who's setting out to cause issues for anyone. What are we bothering this guy for? It's like, and see, that's the thing. Like, I'm not the dude to cry racism, and I still won't. But, like, shit like this makes it easier to do so. Because I'm like, what? If it's not an actual motivation to go after this guy, what is the motivation? Is it a race thing? Like, what are we going after this guy for? This dude hasn't done a fucking thing to anybody.
So that's why I brought the news and my attorney So to make sure I got out of that place with my money.
You brought the news to protect you physically.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't bring the news because you already knew there was a miscount and you were going to make.
I didn't know nothing about
hay.
President, that's
I didn't
funny.
know. I figured they stole my money. They turned my cameras off. Well, so if you turn my cameras off, you must got something bad in mind. So yeah, I'm accusing them of it. You know, they turned my cameras off. I can't see what they're doing.
So your,
So
so your testimony under oath here today to these 10 jurors is that you brought the news when you picked up your money to protect you physically from being beat up or shot by the sheriffs, right?
Yes.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think he's overreacting? I mean, honestly, dude, I would say given the nature of things nowadays, I don't think he was at risk of getting Epstein. I think that's a little over the top. But I can't blame him for being somewhat cautious, especially with cops who are already known to lie. You know, if a cop is known to lie, if they're already cutting off cameras, which is a huge red flag, I would say that's like the biggest red flag. The cutting of the cameras is like an irredeemable thing. It's a detail that really puts them in a negative light and makes them look sneaky and conniving. So if you're dealing with cops who are already known to be sneaky and conniving, they're cutting off video, they're tampering with evidence essentially, yeah, I would be nervous to be with them unchecked. I wouldn't want to be alone with those guys. And it's not because it's not because it's some grand conspiracy to kill Afroman. That's why I say I don't think Epstein is the right term. Epstein was a different thing. If he's even dead, that's a whole other story. But yeah, I could see totally a situation where it goes left. How many people go to an interrogation, end up in a jail or end up somewhere in police custody and they just get beaten to death or they get fucked up? They turn into a vegetable. Like, shit happens. And look, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter who's right or who's wrong, because by the time people are telling the story and a judge is trying to debate who was right, you're already dead. See, that's the thing about police. Like, you can be in the right, but when the cop does what he's going to do and he puts hands on you or he uses a weapon against you, it doesn't really matter who's vindicated in the end, because what happens in that moment happens in that moment. So yeah, I would say it makes sense that he would be nervous, and I would have done the same thing.
And they volunteered the information that the money wasn't right. That's just an extra something we found out. But I came with my attorney and the news to make sure the people running around my house with guns didn't take me into jail and do something.
You had a safe in your home, correct?
2 of them.
2 safes. Did the sheriffs look into those safes, to your knowledge?
Yes, they
The
did.
deputies?
Yes.
And how did they get the combination?
I gave it to my ex-wife so the sheriffs wouldn't pull my safe out the floor, take it to the station and put something in it and try to say that whatever they put in my safe was mine.
This dude thought of every possible outcome, by the way. Shout out Af, man, for real. The way he carried himself in this is impressive. He's like, I didn't want to be alone with them because of this. I knew they might tamper with my safe, so I planned this move. Everything that could have made this situation worse for him, he was 10 steps ahead. That's what I like about this story. He knew every little move they were going to make. Listen to this for a second.
Sheriffs look into those safes, to your knowledge?
Yes, they
The
did.
deputies?
Yes.
And how did they get the combination?
I gave it to my ex-wife so the sheriffs wouldn't pull my safe out the floor, take it to the station and put something in it and try to say that whatever they put in my safe was mine. So I went ahead and gave my ex-wife, who I didn't want to give my combination to, it was just safer. I went ahead and gave her my combination so they could open up the safe and realize that they just vandalized somebody that don't even have nothing in the safe.
And do you know what was in those safes?
It was absolutely nothing in the safes.
Don't you keep jewelry in those safes?
No.
Didn't you
because
tell me that in your deposition, that you keep jewelry in those safes?
I do.
Was anything missing from the safes when you got home after the search?
I didn't put nothing in the safes.
Dude is 15 steps ahead in every circumstance.
Was anything missing from the safes when you got home?
Nothing was in them, so nothing was missing from the safe.
You talked to Randy Walters on the phone before you got home that evening during the search, or right afterwards, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
He told you that they were taking some money and some vape pens and a small amount of marijuana. He told you that.
Yes, sir.
You knew, didn't you, Mr. Foreman, that there had been an investigation by the Claremont County Sheriff's Office into the discrepancy about the cash that was missing from your home, correct? You knew there was an investigation.
Yeah, I knew the sheriffs was investigating themselves.
Oh, that's how you saw it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you ever ask for a report so you could see how bad this investigation of themselves really was?
Yes, I was trying to get involved any way I can. The investigation was going on without any of my participation.
Did you ask for a copy of the report?
I did. I asked for everything. I was trying to be involved. I didn't.
So you've seen the report?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I just saw it a few minutes ago.
Well, you had an attorney when you got the cash returned, correct?
At the station?
Yes.
I had attorney. Yeah, my attorney was present.
Did
when
your
I got my
attorney
cash.
ask for a copy of this report?
It wasn't in it. When I got my cash back from the station, it wasn't an investigation until we realized money was missing.
Well, did you contact your attorney and say, hey, get me a copy of that report?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. While Mr. Klingler wants to talk about his client's attorney-client privilege in maybe way, but Mr. Foreman does have attorney-client privilege with his attorney at that time. And we are going to assert that privilege because it's a privilege he has of right.
And so far, he hasn't asked for anything privileged. So I appreciate the sensitivity, overrule the objection.
The judge is like, what is my life right now? I went through all this training. I'm a decorated public servant, and I'm sitting here presiding over a case. I'm sitting here looking over a case with a man in USA shades in an American flag tuxedo. That is where this judge's life has led him to. He expected to be making a difference. He thought he was gonna, he thought he was gonna be the next big judge. He spent all this time, all this effort, and it's led him to sitting there banging a gavel, looking at a man in USA shades. That is where this is where we're at in 2026. This is a serious criminal case in 2026.
Privilege. So I appreciate the sensitivity, overrule the objection.
This is real.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Your testimony is you never saw a copy of Detective Robinson's report until today.
Yes, sir.
And that's because you didn't want to see a copy of the
I
investigation.
did want to see it. You don't know what I want. I did want to see it.
You did.
I wanted everything that had something to do with my money coming.
And that was 3.5 years ago, correct? And you haven't seen a copy of that report that you wanted to see until this afternoon. Is that right?
That's right.
Somebody in the chat says the outfit is clownish, but it represents the USA. No, I actually like the outfit because again, Afroman's whole thing behind this is defending freedom of speech, and he's doing it for the greater good of America. So I think that's a great message. Also, I think it's really important that Afroman didn't make himself small to go into court for this. I think there would be nothing that made those officers happier than if they were able to get to Afroman and make him stop kind of being himself. If he was to wear a traditional suit and not have the big hair and not have the glasses and come in like they beat it out of him, that would have been a big win for those dirty cops. We can't take a guy that people are rooting against and have it seem like he's been affected. So I like the fact that not only did he come in vindicated, being innocent and having that proven, but also he didn't come in and make himself small or change himself for these deputies, because that's exactly what they wanted. And I would imagine that they would have been super happy if Afroman kind of came in small to this trial.
I never had my money taken by cops. I didn't know how this go. I don't know about reports. All I know is live on Fox 19 News, the lady admits that her department is short $400 of my money. That's all I know. I don't know how to investigate police officers taking money.
That's all you know, and that's all you know today, isn't it? That's the whole basis of your claim that your money was stolen, is that the amount of money that was in the bags is different from the amount of money that was written on the bag.
Yeah, my whole thing is they never should have raided me in the first place.
That's your whole thing.
That's my whole thing.
That's the point,
That's my whole
isn't
thing.
it?
If they never would have showed up, there would be no songs about them. I wouldn't know who they are. Their faces would not be on my video cameras. None of this, we wouldn't be in this room right now if they hadn't raided my house and didn't press no charges, didn't even know what they was doing. This whole thing is their fault, and they're suing me for their mistake.
And so you don't really care if they stole your money or not. You're just mad
I
about
do
what they
care
did.
about if they stole them.
But
Police officers shouldn't be stealing the civilians' money. So I do care. All of it is an outrage. This whole thing is an outrage.
You
Facts.
have no evidence that they took your money except for the amount on the bag isn't the same as the amount.
How about the
got
lady
returned.
admitting that she took?
Could you answer my?
She admitted that she took my money on live Fox 19 News. Go argue with the film clip.
No.
Go argue with her admitting that she took my money.
Nobody.
W Afroman. And so clear that he was going to win this, by the way. Like, the cops had no leg to stand on. I could not have seen a scenario where they actually won. And it's so obvious that there was this poor conduct on their part. It's so obvious. It's so clear. So shout out to Afroman. Congratulations on the win. Let's look at some clips from my interview with Af. So this was, let's go over to this. I put a clip of this up on social media the other night because it was relevant and topical and all that good stuff, but I'll pull the clip just to show you guys when I met Afroman. So first of all, when I first met Afroman was, let's see what year this was posted actually now, because it's been a number of years ago. 7 years ago already? Holy shit. 7 years ago I met Afroman. So this was posted in January of 2019. And here we are here getting high. Me and Afroman outside in Canada. So this interview actually came about when I saw that Afroman was launching his Canadian tour. And as I always do with any artist when they're coming to my town, I immediately sent off an interview request. Just told his management I'd really like to speak with him, all of that. And they wrote me back and they told me to text a number. Now, I texted this number the day before the show. I said, hey, I was referred here to interview Afroman. And the person who responded to my text message said, hello, yes, this is Afroman. So they had actually given me Afroman's personal number. Now, people would be calling Cap and saying it's bullshit if I didn't have the proof. I have the proof right here. So I got Af's personal number, and he starts texting me, asking me about the interview and what we want to talk about and all this stuff. And then, well, he said maybe something kind of personal. He told me that there's stuff he didn't want to talk about. So we had a conversation on text. He told me, look, there's things that have happened in my career. There's certain things I don't want to talk about. I would appreciate if we could just keep this about current events, me coming to Canada, and what's happening next in my career. So I said, okay, you know what? Deal. I appreciate you coming to me like a man, because people will do interviews and then they'll try to like set terms in the middle. I don't work that way. If there's something you don't want me to ask about, you better tell me in advance. Otherwise, I'm going to probably ask about said thing. So I appreciated that he was upfront. Nonetheless, we agreed to do the interview the night after his concert. So he says, text me about 11 p.m. and we'll do this. So concert ends at 10:30. 11 p.m. I text Afroman. No answer. 12 midnight. I text him again. Try to follow up. No answer. I'm like, shit, did we lose it? What happened? 1:30 in the morning, I decided to text him one more time. I say, look, we agreed on this interview. I don't think I'm overstepping. Let me text him one more time. Afroman texts me back a picture of a table at Denny's. And I wish this is 7 years ago, so I don't have the iMessage conversation anymore. I wish I had this picture. But Afroman texts me a picture of a Grand Slam from Denny's on the table and an Afroman pimp cup sitting on the table at Denny's, fully decked out with jewels and like a picture of him on it. So he's sitting at Denny's in Edmonton, Canada at 2 a.m, drinking out of a pimp cup. And he texts me a picture of this scenario with the caption, "I'm at Denny's." So I'm like, yeah, first of all, I can see that. You know, I can see the Grand Slam and I can understand that you're at Denny's, my guy. Like, that's the first, that much was clear. When are we doing this interview? So I said, look, Af, it's 2 a.m. I appreciate that you just did a show. When are we doing this interview? He says, meet me here at this spot at this time. 3 a.m, he wants to meet at a hotel. Now, I just so happen to live downtown at this point in my city. I lived right next door to the hotel. So we're up, we're chilling. It's 3 a.m. I was like 19 years old at the time. Little bit of I don't know what I was. I don't know what I was at this time. A little bit of a party animal. Little bit living on the edge. Little bit of rock star type of vibe. So we're smoking. Because we smoked every day. And we're like, we're meeting Afroman, so we better get high. That was the first thing. We were like, we better get high. We're smoking joints. We're smoking wax. We're taking dabs off the nail. We got the e-nail. We got the blowtorch. We're smoking like motherfucker. They're going to call the fire department. We're smoking so much. But it's getting late. It's getting late. So we're smoking. We're hitting the nail. We're hitting the joint. We're hitting the bong. It's getting late, though. So we're getting high. We're getting higher, but we don't care because we're going to meet Afroman. We're going to smoke with Afroman. So we're like pre-gaming for the Af interview, and also I don't feel like he's sober. So jump cut, 3:30 in the morning, we go to the hotel, and I see Afroman standing outside by himself. Now, mind you, it's -20 in the middle of winter in Canada. It's like -20. So we can see our breath. Like when you look at this clip, we can see our breath. It is so goddamn cold. So picture, we turn into the hotel. I see Afroman standing there, breathing, steam or whatever from the, you can see his breath in a black pimp coat. So we walk up to Af. We're like, Af, what's good, bro? He's like, yeah, what's up, guys? What's up? We're like, good, man. You ready to go? He's like, yeah. I'm waiting for a news crew right now. I'm waiting for this camera crew to show up. He sees 3 douchebag 19-year-olds with iPhones. And he's like, yeah, I'm waiting for the interview. I don't know where. And I'm like, it's us. We're the interviewers. And he kind of looks at us like, oh, like he thought it was like a news crew that was coming to interview him. But to his credit, he looks at us and he's like, all right, well, these guys are all right. And we start the interview, and we proceed to get an interview for close to 20 minutes. 16-minute interview with Afroman. And we got so goddamn high, it was disgusting. It was horrible. But the craziest part is that now, I've always come off, and I've always pulled off what I need to do in a professional manner. Everything I've ever done has been professional in the final product. But the fact, I was higher than him in this interview. And I can't even believe, that I would even do that. The idea of showing up to an interview in that state now, I would honestly never do. But it went well. You can't tell that I'm fucked up. I don't think you can. But we used to do shit like that. We used to be animals back then. We used to be absolute fucking savages. So me and him were probably, both of us were way too high to be on camera. But we did a good interview. And those were the vibes. So again, I don't need, I don't need to conduct myself in that way anymore. yeah, so it was pretty funny, man. But I always kept laughing when he was like, "Sorry, man, I'm high." I was like, "Yeah, I'm higher than you, my guy." But yeah, this was funny. Good times talking to Af, and this was one of the interviews that me and my boys, like, we literally laughed about this for like 6 months after the fact. This was one of those ones that you get and you're just like, I can't believe we did this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more interviews like this. There's no disgusting level of high. Bro, you're tripping. Did you hear what I just told you? I'm not going to lie, bro. You would have tapped out if you were in that session with us that night. E-nail, bong, joint, keef, wax, shatter. Come on now, quit playing. We used to be fucking animals, man. Animals. I don't know how. I really don't know how I used to do this shit. And I'm not proud of that, by the way. Like, I'm not saying this like, oh, wow, I'm saying it like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Used to be fucking animals. So yeah, so that was the Afroman story. Let me know what you guys think about Af down below in the comments. Congratulations to him on his win. And yeah, back to memory lane with this one, man. This was interesting. This 19-year-old Cass, 20-year-old Cass, doing a lot of good interviews at this time, working with my buddies. This was one of the rare times in my career where I actually worked with people. I usually work alone, but this was like I had people behind the camera encouraging me. I had people who wanted to see me win. I had people who were in my corner to help me have ideas. I like that sometimes. Ultimately, I would say I prefer to work alone because I'm a lone wolf. I'm a very solitary person. And maybe I don't play well with others like I could. There's the cup, by the way. You see the picture on the cup? So for anybody who thinks I'm bullshitting, he literally had the cup with his face on it. But yeah, I would say this was an interesting time for me working with people, having a little bit of a team. But I don't really like having a team because I just always feel like people have ulterior motives. I always feel like people, it just never lasts. And also, like, people get jealous. People get weird. I've had people who were, like, supposed to be on my team. But when I actually start, like, becoming, you know, properly successful with content and things are working, they, like, turn on you in a weird way. People, it's like they want to see you succeed until you actually start to succeed. And, like, they feel like it's a threat to them. So yeah, I've kind of moved away from that. I don't work with anybody now, and I work and live by myself. I don't like to deal with people, actually. I like to deal with people in controlled environments. They'll say, hey, Cassius is going to come interview you today. His name is Cassius. This is his show. You can talk to him for 30 minutes and it's over. That's when I will talk to people. That's when I don't need to talk to nobody off camera. This is it's not necessary. You know. Sid says, my greatest advice as a man older than you, keep your life and success private. Sid, I'm starting to pick up on that, my brother. I'm starting to pick up on that. Yeah, 27 over here. Starting to get the hang of it to a degree. Not really, but like starting to maybe get a hang of it. Getting my footing in certain regards in business and life and finance, relationships, getting my footing. Yeah, I don't really fuck with people, dude. It's crazy. And people like people who care about me, that concerns them. They're like, there's an issue there. They're like, why don't you want to be friendly with people? And what I tell people is like, it's not a problem. It's not like I don't know how. It's not like I don't have the ability to have a bunch of friends or I haven't, you know, I just don't want them. I don't really believe in friends. I don't know. Maybe this is weird. I don't really believe that people really have your back. Maybe I'm the problem. I mean, look, that's perfectly possible too. I just don't fuck with anybody. Okay, let's go to a different story. You picking up what I'm putting down? Not really. I don't really know what you mean by those comments, brother. Honestly. All right, guys, let's hop over to the next story. Piers Morgan is making headlines across the internet after rage quitting his own show. Yes, you heard that correctly. Walking out of his own YouTube channel, his own segment. So Piers Morgan did an interview with HS Tiki Talkie, who I guess is a YouTuber, streamer, and he was just featured in the Manosphere documentary on Netflix. This interview did not go the way that Piers saw it going in his head, from what I can understand, but also it went beyond that to the point where it enraged Piers. And this interview got Piers so angry that he actually rage quit his own show and scrapped the whole episode. Now, this interview was captured on HS's stream, which is now like a banned video, I guess, or a lost video from Piers Morgan. Let's go ahead and watch the interview. Let's see how it went. And let's take a look at what made Piers Morgan rage quit on his own platform. Incredible.
Hey, brilliant. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, coming back to you now.
Cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, and I can see you. I can't hear you now, bro. This is really amateur. I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now or not?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, let's just pick it up. I'm just curious why you did the show. Did you not know Louis Theroux? Did you think it would be something else? Are you pleased with the way you came over?
So they're talking about the documentary, The Manosphere.
So I had no idea who Louis Theroux was. The morning that he was coming round, I had some of my team come to me and go, "Oh, do you realize what this is? Do you realize who he is?" I wasn't asked, and I'm still not bothered about it, you know? Some people might think it was a mistake going on. Me, I thought it was a very, very fun experience.
And when I was watching the Netflix show, I was just curious what you want that influence to be. Right? Because your mother's in the show, and we'll come to quite an amusing clip where she talks about me, actually. She doesn't want you to do this interview, I think, was the bottom line. So you're defying your mother again, and we'll come to that. But your mother's, you know, I was watching her, and I was watching you interact with them. I actually knew your father a bit back in the 90s. Victor Abugu, who was an England rugby player. Met him a few times, liked him. And we can come to that as well. You know, and I'm just curious how somebody whose mum is like that, whose dad was like he was when I knew him, how somebody ends up thinking that the key to life, that the joy of life, the satisfaction of life comes from rage baiting people in their DM rather than something a little bit more, you know, I hesitate to use words where your fan base will go, "Oh, shut up, granddad, you don't get it." But is there not more to life to be achieved than rage baiting morons in their DMs?
Okay, well, I'm glad you called them morons, because that is the idiots that I've attracted from the mainstream coverage with the documentary. But there's a lot more to life. For me, the main thing in life is making money, being healthy, and enjoying that money with my family and having great experiences. The experiences that I have now, since I've come back from Mother's Day, whatever, with my mum, in the last, 5-6 years since I've been on social media, have been great. And they're the things that I'll be looking back on when I'm 60, 70 years old. You know, the nice dinners, the nice weather, just the nice times that I've shared. So I don't think the beauty of life is rage baiting retards in my comments. But when I'm sat there and what
do you actually want your younger male followers to end up being like? It's a genuine question. Because in the Netflix show, what I saw was a guy who says, look, on the one hand, if I had a daughter who did OnlyFans, I'd disown her. And yet you are directly involved in promoting a load of women who are on OnlyFans, right?
He's all over the place with his questions here. The lead into that question has nothing to do with what he just asked. He starts by asking him what he wants to send out as a message. Then he tries to ask him what he wants young men to be like based on his message. Before he can even finish that question, he jumps to OnlyFans. I mean, Piers is clearly rattled here from the start.
You're a smart man, right? You wouldn't be in this position if you weren't a smart man. You can answer that question yourself. You know exactly why I'm promoting girls. I'm not even actively promoting any right now, but you know exactly why I'm doing it. You don't need to ask me that question. There you go. So why are you asking a question you already know?
No, I'm not.
It's a very, very easy answer.
You're missing my point, Harrison. I'm not disputing that you are making money or you're perfectly entitled to. I'm just curious why you would want to send a message to young men you're trying to be influential over, to the extent where you want them to part with money to be like you. And on the one hand, your message is OnlyFans is awful, these girls that do it are awful. But on the other hand, you're making money promoting them. It's hypocritical.
Look, I think OnlyFans girls can do what they want, you know? I'm not bothered. It's the same way I think people can be gay if they want. I'm not bothered. When it comes into my family, where I have control over the situation, that's where I'll dictate what happens. So it's a very valid point that I don't want my daughter to be on OnlyFans. I don't want my daughter to be in the red light district in Amsterdam. But if I went to Amsterdam and I was walking down and I saw a Colombian 9 out of 10, would I go in and visit? Well, depends how many drinks I'd had that night. But it doesn't mean I necessarily agree with it or would like that girl to be my daughter or would raise my daughter like that. Makes perfect sense.
Bro, the honesty is so refreshing. And by the way, you can tell it's catching Piers off guard. I don't think he's used to this level of honesty from a creator, especially in this space that HS is in. But it's so valid. And look, HS basically answered most of the questions Piers is trying to ask in the beginning. He said, you know, essentially, I'm not worried about influencing people. I'm not worried about what you think is morally right or wrong. I am in this for the riches. I'm in this for the experiences that I can get by making money and having that shared with my friends and family. He basically answered all these questions right at the start, and it's a refreshingly honest answer. He said, look, I promote OnlyFans, I do streams, I do all this stuff. Ultimately, though, I am in this to experience life on a different level with the people I love, be financially stable, and that's pretty much it. And I feel like that answers, by the way, why most of these people do this. You could judge the morality of OnlyFans girls or judge these streamers in the manosphere or judge all these people in a moral lens. But ultimately, we have to remember what they're getting from this also. They're not doing this for free. And the quality of life that they're afforded from this, many people would argue it is worth it. I mean, imagine if people are judging you, but you can take your mom on a trip to St. Bart's. I feel like the noise in the background gets a little bit quieter when you're living in that lifestyle. You know, when you're able to take your family to Nobu and you got a villa in Turks and Caicos and you're flying on private jets, probably more impactful than the judgment of random strangers on the internet. Okay, let's listen to more.
And if you had a son who turned out to be gay, you would disown him, you said.
No, my actual life ambition, right, genuinely since young, is to grow up, make money, retire my mum, meet a nice girl from a good family, then have a gay child who fucks other guys. That's what I want. So I genuinely want that. I also want him to go out on the weekend and put makeup on and, dance around in the gay strips.
Listen,
no, I want that.
I can hear your fan base cheering you on. I know what you're doing. It's the double down, treble down. In fact, I saw some of your posts on social media before you did this interview. I'm going to own everything. I'm going to double down. I'm going to play that game. Fuentes did that a bit with me. And you know what I think?
Do you know what, bro? There's not a game.
By the way, I'm not your bro, Harrison. Call me Piers. I'll call you.
What, you don't want to be my bro?
I don't really want to be your bro, mainly because I have two bros of my own. One of whom was an army colonel, and one of whom is an excellent man as well.
Bro, what is Piers on about right now? This is not going the way he expected it to go.
However, let me just ask you what you said in the documentary. You clearly actually would by your own admission, disown a son who said they were gay. And yet your mother, you said, hates people that are racist, sexist, homophobic, and so on. Why be so brazenly homophobic if your own mother, who you clearly love and respect and care about, if she's so against that, why would you be so happy to be brazenly homophobic?
I wouldn't say I'm homophobic.
You would disown a child for being gay. That's about as homophobic as it gets.
That's your opinion, and in my opinion, that's
Not
not
opinion,
homophobic.
it's a fact of what homophobia is.
Okay.
What do you think homophobia is?
I think homophobia would be severely discriminating against gays, and I think that, you know, maybe going around and bullying them or whatever could be considered homophobic.
You don't think
I don't really
your
care
own
what the
child would be
definition is.
bullying them because of their sexuality?
I'm not bullying them. I'm not bullying my
By
child.
disowning them?
It's not bullying.
What is it?
Definitely not bullying.
What would you call it? You disown your own child for being gay, something they couldn't possibly
I'd
help.
call it good
Their natural
parenting. That's what
sexuality.
I'd call it. I'd call it good parenting.
Really?
We clearly have different beliefs. I don't care what your belief is. If you grow up,
Well,
okay,
no, we don't actually.
you'll
We
work
both
your whole
come from a
life.
belief. We both come from the same belief, which is we were brought up by mothers who did not share this view.
Bro, this point is so weak. Why is Piers bringing up his mother's beliefs? This is the weakest point in the world. So you mean to tell me that a person who's a grown man, their beliefs about the world is supposed to match their mother's beliefs? Like, what kind of point even is that? What point, what logic is that? Well, your mother didn't believe in homophobia, so what? Like, what do you mean my mother, dude? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you genuinely talking about? I'm supposed to have the same beliefs as my mother as a grown man.
So actually, we're very similar. It's just you've taken a weird turn where your mother, who hates homophobia, has got a son who actually thinks it's perfectly okay to say you would disown your own child, your own son, if they said they were gay. And
Would you be happy if you raised your son and your son came out gay? Would you be happy, Piers? Would you be happy, Piers, if you had one child, one son?
I wouldn't care less.
You wouldn't care?
No.
Okay, then that's your beliefs. Me and you have totally different beliefs.
No, but the
And
only
I
thing
know
I'm
that you're
interested
trying
in is
to
why
double
you think
down on
your
this
belief.
point.
Yeah, but Harrison, why do you think your belief does not constitute homophobia?
Piers, we can all have a push and a shove. You might not agree with some of my points. I don't agree with some things that you do and the way that you act.
That's fine.
And I don't need to go into them. But if you want me to, and you want this to turn into something that it doesn't need to be, then we can all have a push and a shove. We can all bring up
I'm
points.
genuinely interested in how you felt this Netflix show went and the things that Louis Theroux had you saying on camera. I'm genuinely curious what you think about the way people have responded to them. Honestly, that's all I care about. I'm not here to trap you. I'm not here to put words in
I'm
your
not here to trap you is crazy. That's the definition of why you're here.
mouth. I'm not here to do any of that kind of thing. I'm very aware that your fan base, whatever happens between you and I, it doesn't matter. You will have owned me, killed me, crushed me, destroyed me. Let's just accept that's a given, okay? That is how these interviews always go, whether it's Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, whoever.
Do you know what I don't like, Piers? Do you know what I don't
Myron
like?
Gaines in a minute. It'll be the same
Listen,
thing. So I assume.
listen,
let me just tell your followers. Harrison HS Tiki Doki has owned me, beaten me, defeated me.
Okay, listen, I respect guys that have their own opinions, right? But I don't really respect you trying to come on and say, oh, I'm homophobic and try and really push that point when I wouldn't say I'm homophobic at all.
No, I understand that, but I'm curious why you don't
I'm
think
homophobic.
disowning a child for being gay is homophobic.
What
Why
I
would
do
that
with
not be
my children
homophobic?
is up to me. What I do with my children is up to me.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course.
I don't agree with you going to Epstein's Island and having freak-offs with Ghislaine Maxwell and the rest of them. But I don't need to bring
But I've
it
never
up
been
because
to
this
Epstein's
is about
Island.
misogyny
Just to be clear,
and everything like this.
Harrison,
okay?
Harrison, just to
Okay,
calm.
I don't agree with that,
Just
sir.
to be clear,
Freak-offs on the island.
Yes, nor do I. And as is a
Are you
stated
sure?
fact,
Nor do I, HS. I was only in the files 27 times. Bro says, nor do I. Piers, we know you're in those files, Piers. We know, Piers. Come on, brother.
That's
Just to be clear,
freak offs on the island.
Yes, nor do I. And as is a
Are you
stated
sure?
fact,
Are you sure?
do you want to keep doing this? You'll make yourself look very stupid.
Are you sure, Piers?
That I've never been to Jeffrey Epstein's island. I'm 100% positive.
Yeah, he went to the parties on land. His freak-offs were not on an island. They were in a penthouse. Get it right, HS.
I never met the man, never went to his island. I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes at a book launch. If you've got any supplementary
Mentioned a lot of times.
no
mentioned
problem.
a lot of times in there,
listen,
sir.
I have no problem. You're not, I don't think, if I say this very respectfully, I don't think you're very well informed about things like that. Or you wouldn't go there, because it's...
Why are you in the files?
Why don't you check the 27 references to me in the files?
Why are you in the files, sir?
27 is crazy. How are you sitting here claiming innocence when you're in the Epstein files 27 times? Dude's in the wrong 27 club. Go check the 27 mentions of my name.
Very well informed about things like that. Or you wouldn't go there, because it's...
Why are you in the files?
Why don't you check the 27 references to me in the files?
Why are you in the files, sir? Very close to these
Go
types
and
of
check.
people.
Go and check. And all your followers, you can. The great thing about the Epstein files, you can put somebody's name in, and you can
You like
see
to compare
everything that
me
comes up.
to Tate
I've
and
got no
Myron and everyone
problem
else.
discussing this.
So,
Harrison,
because my name is close to them in the manosphere. But if I compare you to Epstein and Maxwell, you have a clear problem with it,
no problem.
sir. You compare me to Myron and all the others in this homophobic, misogynistic, whatever world. I'm comparing you toEpstein then, because you're in his files.
Harrison.
Exactly. Let's
You're
stop
making
this
yourself look an even bigger idiot than you did on the Netflix show.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes.
To people like you, sir, I don't mind that. You make yourself look like an idiot every single day when your wife is at home posting pictures that you're out and she wants to get used like a toy by a big black man who is cleaning her car. Is that why you have a problem with me? Is that why you're pushing this homophobic narrative? Because I'm the big black man that shagged your wife while you are on holiday.
Yo! Whoa! Look at Piers' face, though. Nah, bro got cooked alive on his own show. Piers got broiled alive. Damn, that's one of the most merciless roasts I have seen in a minute. Bro got cooked.
Like a toy by a big black man who is cleaning her car. Is that why you have a problem with me? Is that why you're pushing this homophobic narrative? Because I'm the big black man that shagged your wife while you are on holiday.
Let me tell you something. I am not married, and that hurt me. Honest to God, that hurt me. I'm not even married.
Okay? We can all have a push and a shove, sir. Let's go back to talking about the documentary and less of the homophobia.
Do you know what? Here's what I think about you. I watched the documentary. I think you're a fucking idiot. I think you're a sexist, misogynist, homophobic twerp who got exposed in a global way by Netflix, by Louis Theroux, for what you are. You're a little half-wit, and you'll make your little followers
don't get rattled.
have a little laugh
Don't get
and everything
rattled.
else. But I don't see any
Don't
point
get rattled.
wasting. There's no point me wasting my time talking to you. Is there? What's the point?
Exactly. No, do you know what? Let's chill it down then, because what I just said, there's 50 more things that we can have a stupid back and forth and try and one up each other.
Care. I don't
Just
care
talk
about
to
your
me
silly
normally.
insults.
Talk to me normally. Talk to me normally.
I don't care about your silly insults.
But what do you mean you don't care? What do you mean you don't care? What I said is fact. I have a picture of it. I can flip it around and show you right now.
I couldn't care less about your silly little insults.
Bro, he's visibly red. He definitely cares. He's turning red.
It's like a 2-year-old. Why would I care?
A 2-year-old? A 2-year-old? Listen, sir, I don't know why you come on and you talk like you're holier than thou. As soon as you're away,
All right,
who's this? Applications are open.
All right, let's do
That's
this.
your ting, bro. That's your girl.
Let's end this.
Oh, shit.
You know
Bro's
what?
got
I'm
the
not doing this. Sorry, guys.
receipts.
It's pointless.
The whole show's over.
Adam, switch in just back.
No fucking way he got cooked that hard. No wonder he didn't put this episode out.
2-year-old, a 2-year-old. Listen, sir, I don't know why you come on and you talk
What was
like
the photo he showed?
you're holier than thou. As soon as you're away,
All right,
who's this? Applications are open.
Oh, it's the picture of the wife talking about the pool boy? No way. So his wife really does have like a cuck thing with him. Dude. This is a crazy reverse roast. Like, talk about a reverse gotcha.
All
right, let's just
That's your ting, bro. That's your girl.
Let's end this.
Cooked.
You know what? I'm not doing this. Sorry, guys. It's pointless.
Whole show's over. So there you have it, guys. The official video of Piers Morgan rage quitting his own show after getting completely destroyed by HS Live. Now, let me tell you guys, this was a masterclass, I think, on how to reverse a gotcha attempt from a journalist. This is something we've seen so many times, especially on Piers' show. And I happen to like some of the Piers shows. But ultimately, he does set out to do these gotcha interviews with most of these red pill people, whether it's Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines. The overall sentiment from Piers is, I'm going to get you, when he interviews these guys. And he kind of alludes to that as well when he compares interviewing them to this scenario. It's very evident that that's what he's trying to do. But this is one where he completely got outclassed in this scenario. Also, I think the fact that HS went for the wife stuff is why he won in this scenario. Because if you guys haven't noticed, Piers has an answer for everything. This is a guy who's been doing gotcha journalism for a long time. People do try to turn it around on him with the Epstein stuff and Ghislaine and whatever the case may be. He always has an answer for that stuff. The only thing he never has an answer for are the charges about his wife. If you guys have noticed this, he can explain away the files and Ghislaine and he didn't know Epstein and this is why he's there 27 times. Never has a response, though, for the comments about his wife. And this, to me, at least from where I'm sitting, is what I would identify as Piers' Achilles heel. It is something that he cannot overcome. It is something he cannot explain his way out of. And I truly do think he's embarrassed by what his wife has put up. I'm not sure if he was very much aware of these posts before the internet went and dug them up. I mean, these are the fans of these streamers who dug up all these posts from his wife. I'm not sure if it was even on his radar before all of this blew up, but now it is. And it's the one thing I see him roasted for on X and roasted for on his show or in comments, that he will either just block the person or completely ignore because he never has an answer for it. So this, to me, look, if Piers wants this issue to go to bed, to put it to bed, he better come up with an answer quick. He's got a good answer for the Epstein stuff. I'll give him that. He's got the explanation down pat. I met her at a book signing. Somebody cropped the other people out of the photo. We never met Epstein. He's got a good alibi for the Epstein stuff. I'll give him that, even though it's still somewhat suspicious. But the wife stuff, he has no leg to stand on. And Piers, if you have men doubting that you have control over your woman, if you have men doubting that you are even the main male figure in her life, that is something you better come up with an answer for, my friend, because it makes you look bad, especially when you're going up against the self-described manosphere. You're going to have your girl on lock, and you can't have your woman out here embarrassing you like this. So I think it is embarrassing for Piers, and I think we see that in his demeanor. Look at this dude's face. You want to tell me this dude is not embarrassed? This dude is mortified, and it's plain to see. So I think he attempted to do a gotcha interview with HS. HS had the wherewithal to know this and come prepared. He gave him a shot, but he outclassed Piers in this interview. I mean, both of them were not classy by any stretch, but he outmaneuvered Piers in this interview. And yeah, I'm seeing in the chat, fair game. Yeah, Piers was talking shit. Look, Piers started this interview talking shit. And also, like, this might get me some bad reactions, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's my specialty nowadays. That's sort of my thing, if you guys haven't noticed. Why is Piers so concerned about this man's individual opinions? Let's just say this dude did believe all the stuff Piers is saying. Let's even say he was a homophobe. What are you going to do about it? Like, are we really living in a world where we feel like nobody is homophobic? Now, I want to make my stance perfectly clear. I am not homophobic myself. Do I think people should be homophobes? Well, no, not if I had a choice over it. But I also don't live in a world where I think nobody is a homophobe. Like, are we really acting like there aren't any around? Like homophobic people don't exist, or racists don't exist, or misogynists don't exist? I mean, it's not something I endorse. It's not something I think we need more of. But the concept that you're never going to meet a single one, or that there's none out there, that's ludicrous. I mean, there's tons of people with all types of views that I disagree with. A lot of bigots, a lot of people who discriminate. I don't agree with it. But at the end of the day, it's like, what am I supposed to do about it? I'm not going to sit here and try to convince him he's wrong. I mean, this is his beliefs on the world, no matter how wrong he might be. So I always laugh at that. Like, do we think that there's not misogynists or homophobes or racists out there? There are lots. And I mean, look, again, I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to sit here and do an intervention either. So that this whole perception that Piers has, it's a naive outlook on the world. Like, I met a lone misogynist. It's like there's lots of people who actually share those views as well. Unfortunately, there are. So white knighting the situation is not really the answer. I think trying to understand it is probably the best thing you could do. Trying to deconstruct it and break it down and understand the outlook from that person's perspective. Not try to change their perspective, because that's never going to happen. Look, at the end of, like, if somebody's homophobic and you're trying to convince them not to be, that's the same as me trying to convince somebody who's not homophobic to be homophobic. Like, what are the chances of that happening? Am I going to convince an LGBTQ advocate and supporter to be a homophobe? No. So the same goes the other way. You're not going to change somebody's core beliefs by talking them out of it. That's never going to happen. The best thing you can do to combat what you disagree with is to get as much information on that as possible. To talk to people, to break down, well, why do you believe this? You know, the guy said he would disown his son if he was gay. Condemning that is not the answer, even if you disagree. Interview him about it. Well, why would you disown your son? What is it about it that would make you do that? Talk to me about what, like, get the information. As a journalist, you're supposed to get information, Piers. What I see in this interview is not journalism, it's activism. It's activism. It's Piers trying to convince a guy who he perceives as a homophobe and a bigot not to be one. And while that's a nice, rosy idea, it's not something that's going to happen. So I think this was a shitty interview. I think Piers realized it was a shitty interview. He's been doing this long enough. And if I can identify that with 15, 16 years in the game, he can identify it with 40 plus. But that's what I would say, Piers. If you want to combat this ideology, condemning the people perpetuating it actually is not going to do what you think it's going to do. Just 2 cents from somebody who watches the show. You can take it or leave it. And I know I'm on his Booker's radar too. They might see this. You guys would go a lot farther if you just tried to get the information and let people make up their own minds. That's ultimately what I would say. So yeah, bad interview, bad piece. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can get on Piers. Let's see what's up with that. I know you guys are watching. I send you my shit all the time. So I would like to get on there. I'm not big enough to do a solo interview yet. Not enough people know who I am. But I think a panel would be fun. Put me on a panel. Put me on an Epstein panel. Put me on a Diddy panel. These are the last days, guys, of seeing me isolated, by the way. Like, outside of this whole media bubble. Like right now, it's Cassius Morris versus the world. Right now, I'm working on transitioning, bridging the gap, crossing over to the other side. So I want to get on some shows. I want to get featured on some things. I want to have my voice heard in these panels. I know I have the, I know I got the goods to deliver. That's why I'm also going to go back to America soon for a visit, because I think, like, especially after last night, trying to do the street interviews on the street, and nobody speaking English and nobody being able to understand me except for like 3 people that I talked to. I was like, I don't want to be isolated in this way. I'm already isolated from the crowd. I'm already a lone wolf, which is good in some cases, but bad in others. So I want to even out the bad parts. Just a side note. I want to get more into the loop with people in a professional way. So 2026, that's my goal. I don't want to be on an island. I don't want to be a man by himself professionally. I think being in these conversations would be helpful. So that's what we're working on. Excuse me. Even EA walked out on Piers. Bro, I got to walk out on Piers. I feel like I gotta, if I go on Piers, I got to walk out. Unless he actually does a good job. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about each story down below. Interesting times, man. Interesting times. You know, I'm feeling all types of different emotions at the moment. You know, I think and feel... I don't want to say think because it sounds arrogant. I feel very deeply. I feel very deeply. I have... seriously big emotions, big feelings. So lately I've been feeling a lot of different things. It's like a melting pot of different things. And I've been pushing myself with my content, like I said off the top of this stream. I've been putting myself in situations where I inevitably am the underdog, even though I've been doing this for so long. And it's all just for the greater good of pushing myself further, pushing my skills. Not being comfortable, even if being comfortable is producing better net results. You know, like I said off the top, I wouldn't have any of these issues with feeling like I'm not big enough or whatever if I just stuck to what I know worked and was comfortable. If I just interviewed rock stars for the rest of my life, I wouldn't have a care in the world. Would never have to reassess my content, would never have to change or revamp my content or do anything to it. I could just interview rock stars for the rest of my life, make a nice living, and ride off into the sunset and never have to worry about evolution, building my personal brand, you know, expanding my repertoire. I have that option. But what makes me have fire inside of me is when I push myself and grow my repertoire and do different things. And that's what I've been doing right now. Obviously, the algorithm takes time to catch up. But I do think this is really important for me right now because I'm feeling a level of like having something to prove that I haven't felt since I started this 15, 16, 17 years ago. Like I got something to prove right now. I'm angry. Like on the way home last night, I was so motivated that like it crossed over to angry because I'm angry. I'm angry that people don't know my name yet the way they should. I'm angry that people are trying to blackball me outside of the media business. I'm angry that people try to marginalize me and put me into a corner and say, you can only do that, go do it over there. And I will not take it. I will not lay down and take the easy route. I will not take the predetermined path. I will always take the path I want to take. And I'm going to use the anger as fuel. I'm not angry like I'm going to go take my ball home. I'm angry like I'm going to buy the fucking football stadium of the doors that closed on me. That's the type of anger that I have. Every door that closed on me, I will buy the fucking building. Shout out Drake for that one. I'm buying the building on all the doors that closed on me, bitches. And that's what we're doing. So that's where I'm at. I'm fucking pissed. In the most positive sense of the word. I'm pissed. So that's it. Until we're number one, we're sticking to it and we're switching shit up and we're just putting ourselves out there, man. I was pissed off last night because, like I said, I've been doing this for 17 years. I got almost 100,000 followers. We routinely have live streams with hundreds of thousands of viewers. And last night I'm doing a stream. There's fucking 7 people watching it, and I'm interviewing somebody on the street. Again, the only reason I would ever have a stream with 7 people watching is because I'm experimenting. That's when the algorithm fucks you. If I was to just stick to the script, we wouldn't have that. But that hunger in that moment, and the dude I'm interviewing, like, trying to little bro me, like, oh, good luck with your little content thing, like, you have no viewers, even though I'm bigger than him on the internet, even though I'm the one working with legends, even though I'm the one doing this stuff. That's the type of hunger I need. I think I needed that. I think I needed that stream last night to really get me in that mode. I needed that one. So, yeah, that's really where we're at. I think having something to prove, not having a chip on your shoulder, but having something to prove is the key to this. And that's also why I want to change my stuff, because, look, if we're talking about interviewing rock stars, I got nothing to prove. Dead ass. I got nothing to prove. We have passed that test. We have established that I can do a top-tier rock star interview. That's not even a question anymore. But will that create the hunger required to get to the next step if I have that comfort? Will I have the hunger required burning inside of me to become the man I know I need to be in this space with that level of comfort? The answer is no. So that's where we're going now. Interview Sneeko. We're working on it, brother. We're working on it, Sid. That would be fun. We're working on all this stuff, guys. So again, it's a day-by-day process. And yeah, just like I say, if you're watching me now, you're watching me in a very pivotal transitional point. And this is the last days of me, like, being that dude over there, like, doing it by himself, like, not really in the mix. These are the last days. These are the last days of that shit. That shit is over, Jack. So if you're here right now and you're hearing these words, if these words are being received, you're a bad motherfucker. I appreciate you. I thank you for being here. These are the moments that we, and I say we, not just me, are going to look back on and say, wow, those were some fucking times. That was a hell of a time back then doing those streams. That was a hell of a time when he was still figuring it out. That was a hell of a time before he got on Piers. These are the moments we're going to think about. And we're going to bring it all the way back to that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping in with me. We'll be back for another stream tomorrow. I think we'll do Joe Rogan and Pierre Polyev tomorrow. We'll react to that. Probably the whole show, so make sure to stay subbed up. I'm looking forward to it and sending well wishes to each and every one of you guys, man. And hopefully you guys picked up what I was putting down tonight. Don't get comfortable. Push yourself out of that comfort zone. Chase what the fuck you want on your terms. I can guarantee the your terms part is more important, because you can get what you think you want on somebody else's terms, and it's not going to hit the same. Do it on your terms. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Stay safe. Hug your family. Have a phenomenal day, man. Let's get this bread.